Welcome back once again to DreamHack Grand Prix Montreal, and we are in the middle of round 8. One more to go after this one. We've got Hunterace and Swidz coming up. Hunterace playing a fairly slow lineup, and Swidz playing a really slow lineup is what he does best. He loves to do it. Firebat is with me still, and we've seen a lot of the Hunterace lineup because we've seen Orange 3 times on stream. He is also playing the same lineup. How do you assess what is going on with those guys?
They practice together all the time, and they both put up really good results all the time, so it must be working.
Yeah, Orange is 7-0 going into this round, the last we heard. So,
and a lot of people call Hunterace the best player in the world. So
yeah,
these two working together seems to have just continued to produce very, very strong results.
There you see the classes and the bands and the game state. And Swidz, I can't remember his lineup exactly, but I'm pretty sure that was Dead Man's Warrior that he plays. It's always been one of his favorite decks anyway, along with Odemian playing that deck. Looks like that's been taken down in game number 1.
Right, so now that he has, I believe he's playing the Mally Druid and then the Even Warlock, so he has those classes remaining. And then Hunterace on the other side of things is also playing the Mally Druid, and then he has Even Warlock and Odd Warrior, with both players having Quest Rogue banned away because they are both playing the control lineup, so it's obvious that they have to ban the Quest Rogue.
Yeah, strangely that. The reason to bring the Quest Rogue in the first place. But we are seeing a lot of Quest Rogue going incredibly well against aggro here, like 50-50 or something when we've seen it on stream. Right,
it doesn't do too bad versus Odd Rogue in particular. It does pretty poorly against Zoo and super poorly against Tempo Mage, but it is able to pick up a fair number of wins here and there against the Zoo or the Odd Rogue.
It's just that Tempo Mage, and apart from that bloody PNC game, we've not seen much Tempo Mage out there. Just a few players bringing it so they go, free win, I like free wins.
Well, it's good versus Quest Rogue, but it's just so bad versus the Druids, and that's why we don't see it as much. I think if it, you know, maybe a more refined build comes out, that they could have maybe teched it more towards that Druid somehow, and then still had the favorable against the Quest Rogue, maybe it would have been more popular, but the builds that are out right now just don't seem to be able to get the job done versus the Druid as much as people wanted for this tournament.
Point about Hunterace that may have been not particularly noticed. He's had decent results in DreamHack. He's had great results everywhere, but he's only been going like 6 3s and the occasional sneaky top 16, not doing the normal Hunterace things. It's worth mentioning it is a different format to what he plays most.
Right, it's last year's Standing rather than Conquest, so it's a little bit new to this format compared to some of the other players. Some of the veterans that have been around the scene for a long time used to play when the only format was last year's Standing.
Right.
And for the longest time, the main format of the game for most of Hunterace's existence in the scene has been Conquest. So he's a little unfamiliar or less practiced than some of the other players in the scene at this format, for sure.
And that, I think, will help him being with people like Orange, who have been around forever, no Last Hero standing backwards. Talking to Orange about Last Hero is interesting because he has very good ways of dealing with it. A lot of players do, but because he's been around so long, probably helps Hunterace out a lot more with the lineup in this one than maybe the Conquest tournaments they play.
For sure.
And Hunterace, again, I think he's on 2 losses again, so yet another stay-alive match, as I understand it.
Yeah, he has to win this one to keep his tournament dream alive. And it is a tricky matchup to open it with. We have the Even Warlock Mirror. This matchup's really tough. It's so much more aggressive than you'd think it'd be. It is a life and death kind of mirror where you have to really balance your life total and stay around 1 life the whole game most of the time.
And important that you know the tech cards in your opposing deck, which we don't currently have, but we'll have them shortly, because you need to play around the Black Knights or Sack Packs, those sort of cards, to be able to play your Hooked Reavers at the earliest opportunity. But the other thing you need to play your earliest opportunity is those Mountain Giants. And Hunterace, he's got them both.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Swidz to win this game, looking how it's panning out. Hunterace on the coin, which means he gets to play a Mountain Giant on turn 3 if he's able to find it. And that's a big deal. Getting the first Mountain Giant down is really important. And what's even bigger of a deal is Swidz doesn't actually currently have any way to deal with the Mountain Giant. He doesn't have his own Mountain Giant to counter it, and there's nothing going on for him. So one player is drawing extremely well, and the other player is drawing below average, I'd say. Yeah,
we only saw Orange yesterday scrape against 2 Mountain Giants by having both of his own and a way to taunt to protect one of them. Yeah. And even then, that was only enough to get the game level until he later on won it. When you haven't got any Mountain Giants, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, he has a Plated Beetle drawn to the hand for Swidz right now, which Plated Beetle is usually a card that you move in and out of the deck depending on how many Doomsayers you're playing. So it's a tech option that helps you against the aggressive decks and a little bit worse off against the control decks. Might be regretting maybe moving that out and for are moving the Doomsayer out for the plated beetle at this moment.
Yeah, at this exact second, it's dawned on him.
Yeah.
What if I play an even log mirror? Obviously, you can't combat everything.
Right, you have to choose where you want to angle your decks towards beating.
But Swidz does like playing slightly off the wall decks, but he really likes playing control as well. So you do occasionally see him bring something a bit wacky, but overall, fairly solid stuff.
And he needs to find a way to set up to try and deal with this giant and potentially a Drake or another giant coming down. And the best he's got is a 4/4, which is half as good as his opponent's minion.
That's not big enough.
It's
can't even injure himself to make his spell stone bigger. It's like just not working out at all. Yeah. He's injured himself once. Oh, second giant.
Yeah, probably going to see. When the first giant sticks, it's usually a good time to play the second giant. Hunterace is probably going to think about, is there some sort of crazy defile setup that he can do? What's happening here? But
yeah, do I want to bother healing my first giant so it doesn't die and then play the second one a turn late? Don't think that works. Why give up all that tempo you can have? But, you know, just checking through the options. Is there a reason to play my Drake? It challenges these 4 health minions really well. And then I can get the giant down behind it, and maybe it wipes out some more 4 health minions.
Right. I do quite like the Drake this turn. If you play the Drake this turn, you can respond with going for like the second giant while taunting up the Drake with the Sun Fury Protector to then push face with the other giants while being able to save the coin for the Lich King or Bone Mare to kind of close the game. So I'd really love the Twilight Drake over the giant. It just fits your curve so much more nicely, and you're probably going to be trading with the minion anyway, and it allows you to potentially get that Sun Fury out, making a really strong taunt to protect these giants while they can smork down your opponent.
And he's going to go with that route, and that's looking good to me.
Yeah, I think that's much better than playing the giant. The giant's so tempting there, but when
listening
you really
to you talk about how to taunt this up and get stuff out of the way, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's we saw Doc Pone do a similar thing against Amnesiac and be able to put him on the ropes fairly quickly in the matchup. It's just really, really powerful to be able to taunt your Drakes up, taunt, you know, any other minion up, I guess, to be able to pave the way for your giants to go face.
Doc Pone's on absolute fire in this tournament. Really enjoyed watching him surge through this field.
He's been doing really well. We saw him be able to take down Amnesiac and Muzzy.
Yeah, not many people have got that under their belts in one tournament.
Granted, they were both playing the same lineup, so maybe he's got some bit of a lineup advantage against them. But yeah, it's pretty incredible to see that happen.
Hype spoiler, Firebat. But even with that in mind, they were both close series as well. So
yeah, it's usually close in this matchup. This one's seeming like a bit of a steamroll as Swidz continues to have nothing and Hunterace continues to have everything. So
yeah, he hasn't got a simple solution to a 7/7. When you're looking for the man who wants everything, that's all.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say he just runs it over.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
an 8/8.
it's fine.
It's
but
fantastic.
It takes a turn.
My 3-mana 8/8 has to trade with your 4-mana 7/7. Oh no.
Yeah, I'm looking to kill the guy in 2 turns, not 3.
He's reevaluating all the options, but I still think it's you play the giant on the far right, and then you taunt up the Drake on the far left there, and then you start showing him who's the boss.
Who's the boss is this massive giant.
Yeah. El Gigante, as the streamer show would call it.
The streamer show? That's an insult.
I didn't mean it as an insult.
The guy who's not good enough to play competitive Hearthstone.
No, just
did really well in the Swiss EU, actually. He started to...
Yeah, Show's a great player. Yeah. Show's a great player.
He switches backwards and forwards between not wanting to play tournaments anymore, and then he streams for like 3 months. He's like, oh,
and then he gets
really?
the competitive itch again.
Yeah. I guess you feel that as well sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, for sure.
Because you spend all day talking about Hearthstone, and you think, I want to show off that I know what I'm doing, and then you go and show off and know what you're doing. You go, yeah, I remember that. And then you go back to streaming.
I hate this trade with the Drake.
You hate it?
I hate it. I think he should have just went face for 4, let the Hooked Reaver come down. The Hooked Reaver can come down either way.
It means that the Spellstone killing the Drake won't allow the minions on board to kill his giant, but...
What's it matter? If your opponent's Spellstoning and not playing Hooked Reaver, I'd say that's a win. You still have a giant.
Sure.
It seems like a little bit too defensive in my mind there. He's worried about letting his opponent get the Hooked Reaver, but his opponent can get the Hooked Reaver anyway, and now also a tap-in. If you go face, your opponent can't get the tap-in for the Hooked Reaver because they're too scared of dying.
If he taps Hooked Reaver, what happens, though?
That is
you hit them for 14, so they die.
Perfect.
Turns out he can make the trade.
Well, they do get a heal a little bit with the plated beetle, so they're not quite dead, but... Yeah, Hooked Reaver is still not an option even while holding back the attack. You make a pretty good point there. Clear comes out now. So Hunterace needs to set up a big enough board to kind of be able to deal with things. Going face with the Giant means if he plays the Dread Infernal, Swidz is at exactly 15 for the Hooked Reaver. Hunterace wants as strong of a board position as possible to be able to coin the Lich King. So he kind of is playing 4-8 worth of stats here with just that Shroom Brewer alone. So this just makes sense. It's the most stats you can put in play to allow him to either coin Lich King or
Bone Mare. That's so versatile.
It just gives him all the options going forward. I'd love to see the Ooze come down. He's just trying to evaluate, does it make him vulnerable to Defile? How much damage does it give him with the Coin Bone Mare? Is it relevant? It's a little overkill at the Coin Bone Mare. You technically don't need this in play to be setting up a lethal. But I don't see any reason not to play it, is my only gripe about it. You know, it's just, when else are you going to use this minion?
Isn't it nice not to have to worry about Kobold Librarian into Defile?
It's very nice.
It's like, just so nice. I like it.
The Hooked Reaver can once again come down, potentially. It's a little icky. You're really scared if you're Swidz of the Black Knight or a Spellbreaker just outright killing you. But what other choice do you have? The other choice, I guess, is Twilight Drake and Taunt It Up, and that dies to the same things. You just get worse trades on the board.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Hooked Reaver, Plated Beetle, and then Prey.
Yeah, I mean, he's had everything so far. How much more stuff can he possibly have?
Oh, yeah.
Is the mindset you try to give yourself.
Basically, yeah.
You know that that's not logical sense, but...
Yeah. Swidz has had a rough go of it. He's battling his way up a mountain right now.
And the mountain's battling back.
Yeah. He's going to go for the Drake, it looks like. The Drake would be better against Sack Pact. If there's Sack Pact in Hunterace's decklist, we don't have the decklist for this matchup, but if there were a Sack Pact, then this would be stronger against it.
No immediately obvious trivial way through this.
It's also just more health on the taunt, right? So it's pretty good there in that regards too. I didn't realize the Drake got above 8. That makes it.
Yeah, it feels like Swidz has been playing quite a few cards to get on board, but it's still pretty big. Getting above 8, a massive deal, obviously, with the Bone Mare and the Giant, so that's another reason to have played the Ooze last turn.
How big can this Giant get?
So many possibilities.
Get all the way up to 11 health with only 6 represented on board against it. Potentially, you could just Bone Mare the Giant and then chuck that upstairs.
Wear that.
Yeah. Swidz is going to have available to him double Hooked Reaver next turn, so that's got to be on Hunterace's mind as something that could happen.
So many possibilities.
So it's never too bad to just set the Lich King up here.
Warriors of the frozen wastes.
It's pretty tough if he just takes all the trades for Swidz to actually deal with this Lich King.
Yeah, it just...
He needs Hellfire Spellstone here.
It's funny, we're looking at all the lethal options, the damage options, but sometimes just basic Hearthstone.
Right, just
kill some things, make a dude.
Take a step back, realize, hey, we're not going to kill him this turn. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's just reclaim the board and take a strong position here. No Spellstone for Swidz, so he's not going to be able to clear the Lich King.
And he's a million miles away from Gul'dan still.
And there's a Snail in his deck. That was a tech choice a couple months ago. And then he kind of was in there over Doomsayers for, I'd say, about 2-3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, and then he was in there with Doomsayers for maybe a week.
Yeah, and then it was kind of removed entirely. But Swidz holding true to the Snail. Kind of interesting to see it. Maybe he's trying to bring it back.
I think it was a good card at the time. It was good in mirrors.
So
Yeah,
possibilities.
got it here for potentially the mirror.
Yeah, if you'd had that early on, dealing with those Giants would have been a heck of a lot easier.
Right, you just play the Snail going into their Giant turn, delays the Giant, takes care of business. It's so funny that neither player has those big swing cards yet. We don't see any Sack Packs or Black Knights that really open this game up.
Yeah, they must be in there to some extent. We just don't
Right.
know the numbers.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing one or the other or
Pretty
both.
much everybody's got Black Knight, I would say, and even
Yeah.
Warlock, yeah.
Yeah, we saw Amnesiac was playing Sack Pact, I think, earlier.
Sack Pact and Black Knight was in Amnesiac's list, yeah. So I have to imagine that that's going to be a trending list within, you know, Orange, Hunterace, all those guys tend to, you know, talk to each other at least a little bit while building decks.
Yeah, the 160-something player field, you can afford to have 2 or 3 people as like teammates who've got the same stuff as you.
Yeah.
If you end up playing them, you're probably 6 or 7-0, and you don't mind, or you're out, or you're doing badly anyway. So take your chance. A bit different when you get to those 16-man in sort of qualifiers. And even then, you see people in different groups playtesting with each other and just hope they don't meet each other until the final.
Yeah, all the time. Especially for DreamHacks, with it being, you know, the big open Swiss.
Exactly,
incentivizes that a lot more, the whole working together as a team sort of thing.
I like that, though. You get to see which lineups do well as which players, which teams. It's very nice to see. In Europe, particularly when Finland turn up with a new deck idea or a new lineup, they just do so well with it. There's like 9 of them in the field, all with the same lineup. And you just see how good the lineup is, how much difference it makes.
Yeah, as the days have been going on, we're kind of getting down to the point where there's like 3 or 4 lineups that are kind of emerging as the successful ones of the throughout the course of the tournament. The Death Coil is a juicy card, but not enough to get the job done quite yet. I imagine now's the Bone Mare turn.
Is there a case for something like Dread Infernal Doomsayer, which looks weird, but it stops your opponent playing their Gul'dan, and then you play yours first?
That does seem pretty spicy.
This is just keeping the pressure on, though, so why not?
The Dread Infernal Doomsayer. Yeah, I think he's got such a good, not fancy play that it's okay not to get too convoluted with it and just get value out of the Bone Mare when you can.
Yeah, that's what he's done. In fact, he's had to delay it a turn or 2 due to reasons, due to circumstances. But you can't go down onto this board anyway.
Oh, you can. You just probably
good
die.
luck with it, yeah.
Yeah. He does have the at least 1 Vulgar Homunculus in there, so he can stop a little bit of damage when he Guldans, but not all that much. And he's got to worry about the Lich King card. He's got to worry about potential Black Knight, Spellbreakers kind of stuff being drawn.
Yeah, that doesn't work how you think it does on that situation. So I'm going to take 1 to stop myself from dying, but I take 1 and they've got 9.
Yeah.
And now it's like, if you kill my... Kill my snail, you win the game.
Yeah.
And Mossy Horror will take care of that, but he'll kill the beetle as well, so it doesn't quite do it that way.
Death Coil.
But Death Coil is a card that will do it.
Yeah, Mossy Horror and Death Coil. He's got a few options of how he wants to end the game here.
See, that's me. I point those 2 minions at face, then wonder why he's not died.
Yeah.
For like 30 seconds, I have to look for the Death Coil. Hunterace 2-0 ahead. And obviously in last hero standing, we know what that means. It means you're in a fantastic position. But we've seen a lot of reverse sweeps over these last 2 days.
Just the Druid remaining for Swidz, which he didn't want to queue up into the Even Warlock, so that makes me believe maybe it's the Token Druid. We don't have the deck list for this series, but it's either Mally or Token. I seem to remember him having a Mally. You just may have not wanted to queue it into it because it's maybe geared towards aggressive decks and might struggle against the Even Warlock. But the last match was kind of a case of where Hunterace drew really well with a double Mountain Giant, and Swidz just didn't draw it nearly as well in a mirror match. And you know, when that happens, it can kind of end pretty one-sided.
So he's just chatting to himself there, keeping himself going. This is 2-0. This started at pretty much the same time as the rest of the round. That was held up very slightly to start, just to make sure we had something to show you. But this is a slow round. There's a lot of matches out there taking a while.
It's seeming like it might go kind of quickly here, though, with a 3-0 potential.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of Druid this is from Swidz, and depending on how the draws kind of shake out. Even Warlock been putting up really polarized numbers. We saw it actually a lot in HCT Europe. Well, maybe not a lot, but a handful of players had it at HCT Europe, and it did quite poorly at the playoffs for Europe, which is kind of surprising. Now we see it here, and it's in, I would say, a large number of the lineups of the top players.
Feel like it's good in Last Hero, though, because if they bring the wrong thing, you just sort of plow through their lineup. Whereas in Conquest, it's like the opposite. It can be picked on. It can be taken apart.
Yeah, it can get kind of targeted. It's also a deceptively difficult deck to play.
Azalina in the hand, so that limits it down a bit.
Towards the Togwaggle Druid sort of thing, so we were kind of close. We did guess it would be Druid.
Yeah. I mean, we should have gone with Wild Growth and Nourishes to be a bit safer than tokens.
Got the Giggling Inventor, so yeah, with Azalina, it's pretty much always Togwaggle. It could be Mally Togwaggle, which is a pretty greedy variation of Druid with a lot of top end.
See many more Howls, it probably isn't that. We'll have to wait and see how the Howls come out. Hunterace just got a Giant.
Well, here, that's a pretty good card. The Druid has some of the best answers for it. They do have Naturalize, which is a great way to not only kill a Giant, but force your opponent to overdraw so you don't get the downside of the Naturalize.
And that is relevant, because they will go through a lot of their deck in this game. Quite often all of it.
Yeah, typically speaking, I would say Togwaggle / Mally Druid is maybe a slight edge, but it's very approaching 50-50 in the matchup just because Gul'dan is such a heavy hitter to be able to allow the Warlock to continue having pressure while also healing out of burst ranges. And Warlock,
here's your boy.
Yeah, it's a super important guy. He does need the demons to juice him a little bit, but yeah, Warlock is very, very good at healing, very good at staying outside of range of bursts, and very good at dealing with the Twig.
You know what else he's really good at? Being stolen on turn 9 by Azalina.
Yeah, that's true as well. Turn 8 or 9 being taken away. But you can usually use your Gul'dan better than your opponent can use it because you have the demons. So that can be a huge factor. But yeah, taking a Gul'dan is always good when going in towards those like super late game fatigue scenarios. And it's just good to have in your hand because you can avoid situations where your Druid opponent goes Naturalize to make your hand full and then play Togwaggle. And then you don't have your Death Knight and you just lose. Warlock without the Death Knight is a bummer to play.
Yeah, it's weird how a lot of the time you win before you even get there, but you win because you know it's coming and it's your bailout if things go wrong.
Right.
It's suddenly if it's not there, you can't do some of the more exciting plays coming up to it.
Whew. Right on time.
Yeah.
Now, he does have the option to just go for the Giggling Inventor, try and wait, hold on to this Naturalize. Naturalize is what enables almost all of the Druid's really cool combos in this deck. It enables at the end of the game for you to Togwaggle burst them for 15. It can often enable you to swap decks with them before getting a Twig off or a Dream Petal Florist on one of your key cards.
And he's nearly there. I mean, it's not nearly, but 3 or 4 turns or Nourish away.
Exactly. If he hits a Nourish, he could maybe just swap decks with the Warlock super, super early on, and that could just be the game at that point. Well, it's not as easy as that because the Warlock's a little bit further along in the deck.
Yeah, and your opponent is Hunterace, who is one of the best players in the world. No matter how you rate him, he's one of the best players in the world. He's up there.
Definitely.
That's the pessimistic assessment.
So Hunterace's game plan is just revolving around how do you build the biggest board possible, what leads you to have the most stats in play, and then you kind of just do that every turn. You know, I'm simplifying a little bit.
But spreading plague's not a big deal against you because all your minions are big enough to just sort of tread through it.
And Swidz isn't a token. He's not going to solo the forest for the spreading plague or buff it up in any way. So the plague is not that big of a deal. You just kind of put a bunch of stats in play. You want to be able to get the Skulking Geist down as soon as possible. Saving the coin for that is super key. Getting rid of those Naturalizes that are so detrimental to you.
Yeah, and Hunterace is like, if you want a Giggling Inventor, I don't want you to have it.
I find this interesting. I would have thought he would go for the Shroom Brewer there. I think this allows his Giant to get cleared very easily by like a swipe or something and is super aggressive onto the board when I think it's more just about controlling things. He had the Mossy Where he could have coined Mossy Horde, the Giggling Inventor the next turn. I think it's a bit impatient from the Warlock side.
So going for the if every card has its maximum value point of view, now keeping the Giant on the board is huge. That's maximum value, but your Defile never gets a better play than that one. But
it doesn't.
The Giant's the more important card than the Defile, right? Because you don't need the Defile.
You just did so much damage to your Giant.
Yeah.
It's as if your Giant ran into each minion individually to trade with all of them. That's much damage you did to your own Giant.
That'd be fun to watch. There's a card that can attack everything.
Why is Swidz naturalizing an 8/3 that he could have swiped and then floating 3 mana?
With Togwaggle in hand.
He floated 5 mana that turn. He spent his mana doing literally nothing. except hero power, and then the 1 mana. It's because
So it's looking
made the
mana.
Geist. Okay. He had to read somehow that there was the Geist there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is the turn you try and play the Geist as Hunterace. Maybe how long Hunterace took on his turn made him suspect that. Maybe how he damaged his own Giant. Swidz is like, well, you're going to damage your own Giant with Defile. You must be setting up to play Coin Skulking Geist. There's some high-level stuff going on right there. I don't know exactly what happened there, but both of those plays are not like the textbook way to play the matchup.
Yeah.
There's some reads going on there, and the way that it worked out, Swidz ended up saving a swipe and being able to get some value out of a naturalize that was just about to die to the Skulking Geist. So something Hunterace did signaled that to him.
I'm sitting there going, I can tog naturalize, and if they've got the guys, good luck to them.
Right.
That's as far as I get in that situation.
Yeah.
And Swidz would be having that same basic thought, like if I have it, he has it. And then you move on, he's like, no, I know he's got the Geist.
Well, yeah, you saw the play change dramatically. He played the Giggling Inventor into the Mountain Giant instead of using the Naturalize because he didn't have a read if there was Geist or not. And then the hesitation on that turn from Hunterace and some
the weird Defile, which you didn't like.
Yeah, just told Swidz immediately, bam, there's a Skulking Geist somehow. Somehow he was able to pick up that read and
it's nice to watch when you realize that both players are in on something. Yeah.
Right.
It's like...
Yeah, that was a super interesting sequence of events. That was weird. But, yeah, he picked up that read somehow. And it was right. It's cool when you see them make reads that are right. When they make reads and they're totally wrong.
That's amusing, yeah.
Yeah, when no one knows what's going on, it's less cool. But when the reads are there, ooh, it's exciting.
Yep, Swidz regarded as one of, if not the best French player, and the French players do a lot of good work in Hearthstone this year.
Mm-hmm.
Taken down a couple of tour stops between them already.
He has the ability to swap the decks now if he wants. The card counts are fairly similar. They were moused over them really quickly there. He was checking them, 16 and 16, I think. So if you swap decks now, Hunterace is the first to draw a card, so technically Hunterace is fatiguing faster. And so if you both have the same hand and one player is fatiguing faster and the board's relatively even, you're going to be in a position to win it. Hunterace is not happy.
He is not impressed with this.
That combo came out so quick, too.
My hand is control.
And now it's just the time where your brain hurts in Hearthstone, as Alina time.
It's a fun time. Now, what do? You have the tempo already as Hunterace. You don't want to set a Doomsayer or anything, but you want to pave the way for your Lich King to come down because you know your opponent has your hand, and your hand can't deal with the Lich King.
But you don't have to ransom yet, if you don't want to.
Oh, and the big deal here is Swidz is on 9 mana. He has the same cards and a lot more mana to work with.
Yeah.
Hunterace is only on 7 mana.
The only thing Hunterace has, which I think is 0, is the number of demons already in the graveyard, ones that have already died. I don't think there's any.
Oh, jeez.
So that's the only thing that would help with his cooldown.
Okay. All right, so then maybe this is a Doomsayer turn to try and set up to get your Lich King down. Maybe you just Sun Fury and then play the Doomsayer here. No, because then you get blown out by the Mossy Lore.
He's behind on every metric apart from attacker's advantage.
Yeah.
Health, cards, things, stuff.
It's definitely still winnable. He's drawing into, Druid cards that aren't too bad for the most part. He's not going to be drawing into any ultimate infestations.
Branching paths would be nice.
Branching paths would be very nice. So he's just trying to push this initiative that he has, go face as much as possible, set up the trades as awkward as possible for his opponent, and he does a fairly good job of it. From Swidz position, what do you do? He's got the hero power, which isn't too bad for activating trades. He also has the Spellbreaker he could use.
Strangely enough, I recognize these cards. I think you said them last turn.
He could try it. The Doomsayer is in a weird spot because they both know each other have Mossy Whore.
Yeah.
So he can't set a Doomsayer until that Mossy Whore is kind of out of the way. There's also sometimes, if you don't have anything good to do, maybe switch decks with your opponent just so that you force them to also have to switch back is always something.
Well, Swidz wants to get that down first, which may mean he wants to get the
Hooked Reaver down.
The Hooked Reaver down anyway.
Sure. Just play Hooked Reaver this turn.
Just so his cooldown is better and he can play the cooldown next turn.
Hero power to make the trades a little bit cleaner for him.
Yeah, just a touch. Wow, they work out nice.
Yeah. And just playing the biggest minion alongside that seems reasonable. There's It's a little better on board than the Hooked Reaver because it's got the 5 health, so it can't be traded into nearly as easily. Makes some sense.
Will Hunterace be looking for, like, the MC text made me think of it, like tricky things here, like how can he make Swidz think he's got one card but he's got another, so can he make him play 4 minions for instance here? Because of the mirror pattern of the 2 players. So will Hunterace be trying to trick Swidz here rather than play ideal, perfect Hearthstone? Force Swidz to make some sort of mistake? Because Swidz is ahead on every metric.
He's not completely ahead on tempo. Hunterace is behind on the board, but he's got 8 mana to work his way into it. Like, if you double trade and play the Lich King, you know, you're left with a 4-1, and you have an 8-8 against a 6-5 that your opponent needs to spend 4 of their 10 mana dealing with, giving them only 6 mana to develop, which he knows is not a lot of great options from his hand. It's going to be a 4-4 and a 2-3 at maximum. So I think it's not time yet to start trying to finagle anything. It's still just play your good cards. Take good trades on board. He's ahead on tempo. It's diminishing how far ahead he is, but he was ahead.
Changed. The game has just changed. Frostmourne is gigantic in a minion war.
Yeah, it is. Swidz is drawing Warlock cards, though.
Yeah, Hunterace has done a good job of drawing the okay Druid cards so far.
Warlock cards, Warlock plays double Acidic Swamp Ooze typically, so he's got to dodge that. He knows that it's not on the left side of Swidz's hand, but Swidz will have 2 draws. It's even less likely that the Acidic Swamp Ooze is going to be there if Swidz is thinking about playing the minion from the far right side. But yeah, it is definitely one of the ways you can swing a game is with the Lich King card, especially with a Frostmourne. That's why oftentimes, if you're in a losing position, one of the best things you can do is find a way to play your Lich King without being in too far of a behind or bad position, because you can get things like Anti-Magic Shell, which can allow for combos to pull ahead, or things like Frostmourne, which takes a little bit of time to get rolling, but allow you to play towards different angles and different game plans.
Time grows short.
Yeah, it's broken the symmetry, which is something, like you say, he's still got some of your attacker's advantage, it's mostly going. So breaking that symmetry, first thing you want to do.
He's, at this point, he's lost the board tempo. Swidz is reclaimed the board fully at this point, and Hunterace is now, as we were saying earlier, behind in every metric pretty much, except for the X Factor, which is the Lich King card, which maybe gives him a little bit of life.
Talking of breaking the symmetry, Fino and Orange both on 7-0 have just finished their match, and Fino is now 8-0.
Okay.
He's doing quite well this year. I keep saying he's got the most wins in DreamHacks in 2018. Well, he's further ahead than he was now because nobody else is 8-0 at this event.
There you go.
Way to defend your lead.
Yeah. Well done.
Engaging TC-130.
Doomsayer coming out here, trying to force his opponent to have to try and lose the tempo, because you either have to spend 4 mana on a Spellbreaker or 6 mana on the Mossy Horror to kill it, and then you have to deal with the other minions in play.
Mountain Giants or Nourishers, which do you prefer where you both got full hands? An 8-8 or nothing? Yeah. But yeah, he's forced a way to get his cooldown first on the board.
Yeah, he's also delayed the Lich King even further. Every turn, Swidz kind of wants to play this Lich King, and he's just been unable to because there's been a problem that Hunterace has been posing in front of him. Both players, Swidz at 12, Hunterace at 13 cards remaining. But Swidz drawing into juicy Warlock threats, and Hunterace drawing into Druid cycle cards.
Yeah, which is fine if they then cycle into juicy Warlock threats.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they cycle into more Druid cycle cards.
Cycle into juicy Warlock threats. Hunterace can switch decks with his opponent and then draw cards before he has the opportunity to switch back.
And that might be a thing he has to do next turn or very soon at least. And then you do force your opponent to miss half a turn. Obviously, that's what 5 mana does.
If you draw too many, though, they just don't switch back. And then they win in fatigue. So you have to draw just the right amount. You kind of got to mama bear the situation.
How's that phrase work?
It's like the too hot, too cold sort of porridge thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't read nursery rhymes in a while.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's been a year or two.
It's got to be right in the middle, though.
I see.
Okay.
Blood and shadow.
Wow, look at all those demons.
Yep.
Who are you?
All all one of them.
But getting the first Gul'dan down means he's going to control the pings for the foreseeable future.
He has a more powerful hero power, that's right. This would be probably an opportunity where Swidz wants to develop the Lich King. It's his first chance where he could do it. The scary part is this hero power from Hunterace really enables this Frostborn to do a lot of work. It's going to give him healing. It's going to give him the ability to make the Frostborn last hit things. So this Gul'dan is a strong setup to make that Lich King card able to do a lot of work. And it's a weak development on the board, so it does seem like Swidz's natural play on this turn would be the Lich King. So it kind of baits him to play that Lich King here. It's like, perfect, trade all the minions, play the Lich King.
Get another Lich King.
I win.
Do it again, get another Frostborn.
Yeah, so Swidz getting a little bit baited here into playing this Lich King, and this is exactly what Hunterace wants. It's going to take a heck of a heap loads of damage, but
he's going to come back. He's going to come back reasonably quickly. He still has that spell stone as well as the hero power, so using this health not just as a resource, but as a monstrous resource.
Yeah.
Going to go incredibly low over the next few turns, but the payoff's going to be so worth it.
Yeah. Just got to heal the Lich King first and then play the Frostborn.
Yeah, now Swidz is going to have a monster headache working out what to do about this lot.
Well, the best thing to do would be the top deck of the Acidic Swamp Ooze. That would be ideal.
Give your opponent a Lich King straight away, trade into it, move on with your life.
Kill it with the 8/4, and then you're just ahead. You've dealt with the Lich King card, and you probably win from that position. But it does not look like that's the case.
So when this lot hits face, whatever Swidz does, Hunterace's next question is, can I dare hit the giant as well? How much healing can I have? How can I stabilize? Because I'm killing out a giant and a Lich King. I'm in such a great spot, and it's blowing his brain out. He's just like, ah!
It's interesting. Warlock with a Frostborn and just heaps of armor. He's got 24 points of armor in his hand with the double pinching bats. He can actually just double his current life total. It's pretty absurd how much healing Hunterace has.
Gonna steal that deck back one card at a time.
Yeah, he's going through it the hard way. Man.
Time goes short.
Just every minion that's betrayed him and went to the other side, he's smacking him with a Frostborn and getting him back in line.
Yeah. And then when he gets the Lich King, all hell could break loose. Anything could happen again.
He could get another Frostborn to just keep going. Just every card in the deck he's just taking them all back.
Now just draw the other MC tech. He'd be good.
Spreading Plague, maybe. He's got all the Druid defensive tools.
Yeah, and Swidz is attacking him.
Right. Druid defensive tools are normally not great when you're Warlock, but they are really good if you're able to have a Frostborn.
Bit of armor that he needed.
Yeah, to leverage things, for sure. No Plague, though. Looking like he's going to be just gaining a lot of armor. And Swidz is correctly getting down lots and lots of demons over the course of the last few turns. He's trying to juice up this Gul'dan. Druid can't really do well with a Gul'dan swing turn, being able to bring back tons of demons. So it makes a lot of sense to start charging towards that. He wants to become Gul'dan and get that Gul'dan hero power, but he also just wants the value of that battle cry. The battle cry is going to be super huge.
Another 8/8 just goes into Hunterace's back pocket.
Yeah. It's a terrifying Frostborn.
Yeah, Frostborn usually gives you about like an MC Tech and an Ooze or something. Not all this nonsense.
It does seem like Swidz kind of played into this Mossy.
Yeah.
He could have played maybe the Dread Infernal instead of all of those 2-drops, and then this position would look a lot nicer for him. He knew the Mossy Horror was there. This, yeah. Didn't seem...
I think we saw Swidz play yesterday. I was with Dr. J, and I think we felt that his play after Azalina in that game was also a little bit iffy.
It was very shoddy. Yeah, he had the ability to clear the board at one point with Garrosh, but he chose to then play Gul'dan first and died a double Hellfire that he should have known was there.
Yeah, it was the same sort of deal. So
maybe a little bit problems with the Azalina memory there for Swidz.
And maybe you don't know it until you run into a couple of incredibly strong players.
Right.
Maybe you're used to outplaying people with Azalina, so you think you're on the point, and then you run into a Hunterace, and I can't remember who played yesterday, but another powerful player, because everybody on stream yesterday was a great player.
Right.
And suddenly you find, need to up my Azalina game a little bit.
Yeah, on ladder, a lot of times you switch decks with people and they just concede, or they just don't know what to do.
Yeah, 2 turns later, they just lost the tempo and their cards have gone, and
they have no idea what to do when they're given a completely different hand and a different scenario to play in. But here, After they swap decks, after everything changes, a player like Hunterace is going to reassess the situation and start figuring things out.
And he seems to do a good job of that, of figuring out getting Frostmourne. Also a good plan.
That is a pretty good one to figure out.
Because when he chooses to proc this, and it won't be long, it may well be this turn, he's going to have a Lich King, a Mountain Giant, and whatever he chooses to kill next.
Swidz does have the Doom Pact to kind of answer it, but the Doom Pact is going to mill a bunch of cards, making him start losing in fatigue. But the thing is, even if he's losing in fatigue, he could still win. Fatigue is not always a death sentence, because after he starts losing in fatigue, he plays Gul'dan, and then all of a sudden, not too bad. And now we can think back, maybe he wanted him to play the Mossy Horror on purpose.
I think he did, but
maybe he intentionally played all those 2-drops. Like I was saying, it's so silly. It's such an easiest, obvious Mossy Horror right there. But he's going to want a Doom Pact and then play Doomsayer later. If the Mossy Horror's there, that doesn't work. Hunterace sieges back the tempo. He's setting up his Gul'dan by forcing out that Mossy Horror, I think. And this is for this turn right now. Now Doom Pact into Doomsayer is absolutely disgusting because the Mossy Horror got baited out by playing all those 2-drops instead of the Dreadnought.
Nice.
Yeah?
Again, we're working it out.
I found it.
Firebat.
Wow.
Several turns later. There's a reason they say this guy is good. It's not us saying that he's missing things. Right.
Right, yeah. Oh, he's got the second Doomsayer too. Wow. Well done.
Yeah. Firebat is nodding in appreciation here. It's like, yeah, boy's doing good.
That was a cute setup. That was a cute little bait there. You don't see that in Hearthstone all the time, where people can successfully bait you into certain lines that bend to your will, but...
And there weren't many better plays for Hunterace anyway. I mean, obviously, if he knows the card, he doesn't get baited, but generally it's just so clean.
Yeah, that was tricky.
He might be annoyed at himself. We've seen several plays that we knew were things we couldn't work out already in this game.
Right, yeah.
Like the Geist maneuvering was just...
Yeah, that was impressive
Something was going on there.
It ended up working out really well for him, being able to dodge that Geist like that, yeah. Swidz is really up in his game for this third match here. I really like it.
What I found amusing about this game of Hearthstone is that Swidz switches decks and both of them just proceed as if nothing's happened. It's just like, we just changed roles, but nothing's really mattering anymore. Because it's so evenly balanced between defense and attack anyway, defense and attack on this one. They just sort of both proceeded about their business and just did it with different decks.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can do, right?
But you both have the option to temporarily swap back.
Well, the card count was even between both players, right? So if you switch back, then the other guy just keeps playing the new deck you gave him. And you just wasted 5 mana, right? Neither player has the time to switch back to too much of an
Just
effect.
all that effort to switch the decks in the first place, and you just carry on playing. Your opponent just says, yeah, sure, take your deck. It's fine. And it's because the hand was so full. Like, Hunterace's hand was a very strong one when the decks were switched and the Azalina was played.
Right, it's more about the hands than the decks necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, the decks factor into it as well, but the strength of the hand makes it so that switching back doesn't really work.
Yeah, if the decks have been weak, if the hand had been weaker, then you'd be fighting over the remaining resources in the deck.
Right, so you'd switch back, draw cards, and then they would maybe...
But everything was there. You had Lich King and all that stuff going on already.
So there was no play like that where you could switch back and draw cards before they switch back.
I must feed.
And then Hunterace had 3 or 4 turns where he's drawn like MC Tech and Arcane Tyrant and just stuff that he doesn't mind having. He doesn't like this Army of the Dead much, I wouldn't have thought, though.
Not quite so good in the fatiguing scenario. Nothing like a Doom Pact, that's for sure.
But on the other side of it, Swidz has done that thing that Control Warlock, that even Warlock does when it runs out of stuff. It just starts playing 2 mana cards.
Yeah. Well, Swidz is the Druid.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
I can buy into that. He looks like a druid.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. So I wasn't able to catch what the card counts were exactly when Hunterace moused over them briefly. Did you get a chance to see? I think they're both like 4.
6 and 4,
6 and
4 and 4.
Okay.
I know it's really important which of those 2 things it is.
Right.
I can't remember.
See, he'll mouse over them again, so we've got to make sure we keep our eyes peeled for that. But it's the players move the mouse around so quick, it's just hard to tell.
Yeah, when you know it's going there, but you're the controller, you
can
do
see
it for a split second because you know when you're looking there exactly.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here talking to you, looking
and
over
suddenly
at
the mouse goes there and it sets some number, and you look what the number is, and it's gone because Hunterace knows and we don't. If we just get an admin out there to ask him in the middle of a really important game,
tap him on the shoulder, just how many cards there? He would be upset.
I think a few years ago, there's some admins you could have imagined doing that. If you said that jokingly, they'd be like, "Oh, I'll do that. Yeah, that'd be fine."
2 remaining for Swidz, who is going on 1. I'm almost out of cards animation playing, while Hunterace still at 4. So Swidz is currently losing in fatigue.
Oh, because he had to...
Because the Doom Pact had to draw him towards so many cards, and the Gul'dan, which he was hoping would be enough pressure, enough threats coming out to kind of close the game.
Hunterace sort of wheedled his way into playing the first Gul'dan. And then kept the pressure up, so Swidz couldn't do it for the longest time to get any value back.
And Swidz didn't get nearly as many demons as he was hoping to get.
Hunterace assuming the Azalina game position, which I think every single player assumes at some point during Hearthstone tournaments.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really tough for Swidz to close this game out. He's just out of minions. He's out of threats. Hunterace has the tools to remove just about anything thanks to the hero power. Like the Sunfrey Protector is not getting a whole lot done. It's just going to die. Vulgar Homunculus maybe gets 1 or 2 attacks in before it's taken out.
What did I steal this deck for? I like my deck.
It all came down to...
Furion. It's just
King
straight up worse than the hero power you've got.
It does make 1/5s, which is...
And armor, if it comes to that later.
Not horrible.
And you get 2 hero powers in a turn. Oh, you don't, because you need a Nourish. Nourish? Yeah, you need 11 mana Innovate.
Yeah, something to be able to get there, but yeah, Swidz a little sad, you can tell. He's really not happy about that Lich King card. A lot of control mirrors can come down to scenarios where certain Lich King cards can throw it over the edge.
I have never seen a flute mind control tech on a board with 1 minion before.
Oh my. The last card was a doozy.
And that's why Hunterace tried to occupy the board.
Yeah.
Here's a spreading play.
Some tools. We don't have deck lists for this series, so that's why we're a little unaware of exactly what's happening. The players probably know what the remaining cards in their decks are. We don't have that information, so I apologize.
I know what Swidz's remaining cards are.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Spellbreaker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And King's Ransom.
King's Ransom. Sick. He can switch decks while being ahead on board like this to force Hunterace to have to switch decks too.
Uh-huh.
Which doesn't seem all that bad. You know, maybe push 6 to face while doing that. Get the Spellbreaker in place since there's 2 targets that Hunterace would then want to ping. He wants to ping both the 4/3 and the 6/2.
2 cards left still for Hunterace. That's a lot of fatigue difference. And he does get the cheeky 5 armor at the very end if he needs it.
But
on last turn, you ping your opponent, then play Malfurion just for the 5 armor for 7 mana.
Right. Depending how things work out.
Yeah, if it just happens to save you by 1 turn, it might be a thing he can do.
Sticking and trading with the 6/2 because that's going to get hero power. Doing the full trade, not playing the Spellbreaker.
So what's he waiting for, the Spellbreaker?
Not sure.
We'll find out in 2 turns' time.
Have we seen both plagues from the Druid?
Maybe we haven't.
Maybe we haven't, yeah. Maybe it's the second plague. If there's another plague left for Hunterace, then he's going to have the steam to stop all of the minions and then win by just being in fatigue. The Twig, that makes sense. We expect that to be there in a Togwaggle Druid. And then the remaining card, I don't recall.
Maybe it's another plague, because otherwise why is Swidz not playing the Spellbreaker?
Right, it has to be another plague.
Makes no sense otherwise.
So Hunterace now has the ability, once the Twig is fully charged, to do the double hero power turn at some point in the game.
Oh. Might be relevant, though. That's a lot of damage swing. It's 9 points of stuff turn.
Yeah.
Plus 5 armor.
It is a lot of mana worth of things happening, that's for sure.
I think he's just making sure he can hit him with a Twig here if he wants to.
Yeah, wouldn't mind to see him hero power the 6/1. go face with the twig, and then next turn maybe.
Well, he might hit. I think he might be considering hitting the 6-1 with the face.
Yeah, that seems.
And then pinging the 5-4.
I think there's not really rush in that. Let's
So many
not take 6 seems really good, and then you take 5, and then you hit that minion with your hero power. A little confused, but that's what he ends up going for. He wants to reclaim the board.
Well, you take the 5 more times.
Sure, you'd take the 5 once because the 5 would hit you, and then you'd hero power it and hit it with the twig, and then so you would have total hit the 5 twice, and this way you in total hit the 5 twice.
Yeah, but now you can hero power if you want.
Hero power to kill the Spellbreaker now if that comes out.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage there.
Swidz is waving that King's Ransom about.
Yeah, thinking about playing it.
There might be a turn where it works, but this is the last turn, right, where it matters, because it's the last turn of any cards.
Right, it's the only turn where anything relevant happens with this King's Ransom. Otherwise, it's not doing anything when he plays it. So we're likely going to see Hunterace switch right back and hero power down the minion.
And we think it's probably spreading plague from how the game has been played.
Yep.
The animation just adds to the hilarity of all this to me.
And now Swidz is losing in fatigue, has no cards, no minions that will stick, and the game is officially over. It seemed like he was really close. It's just that.
You can see how close he was. It's,
yeah.
It's not like it's obvious now, but it's really close.
Well, the issue being is that Hunterace still has like minions and stuff to play. He's gonna be able to like hero power Spreading Plague into Malfurion hero power if he wants, and get more minions to play to push for damage with.
So is that Plague as we were expecting?
Yeah, the Plague comes out, he squeezes in the hero power, jams the twig. He's got plenty of time before his fatigue starts cooking, and then he's going to be able to get the armor from the Malfurion and the minions from the Malfurion to help him push through for more damage. And Swidz is already taking 4 fatigue that turn.
Yeah, takes a bit longer than the old Control Warrior games in some ways, just because you're starting off with 3 health gain every turn. Which will soon vanish when the last minions are gone. That will just all start pointing at face as well, so that won't matter.
Yeah, Swidz still trying to find a way out of this, but I'm fairly certain that there is none. Hunterace only taking 1 point of fatigue damage.
Wow. Yes, made a big difference the way that having to destroy the whole board and draw so many cards out of the deck, or lose so many cards out of the deck, just made a huge difference.
And there's the 2nd point of fatigue.
And now Hunterace just has to count and calculate and work out the exact best time for the Malfurion so he doesn't make a mistake.
I think Hunterace is trying to figure out why Swidz is still here. You saw a weird, confused look on his face.
Get out of my game.
Yeah, he's like, what is this? Did I mess up my math? Maybe he's going back, checking the numbers again.
I mean, you never concede in this situation as Swidz because you might have counted wrong because it's round 8 of DreamHack.
Right, it's been a while. And who knows, maybe your opponent does something really wonky. Maybe they play Malfurion too early. They lose the good hero power, and you know, it's all taken away from there. But health total's relatively even, while one player is, you know, 4 cards deeper in fatigue.
And now the health totals have caught up.
Now you get to do the double power if you want. It might still be too early for that. I think you want to do it at the last possible moment before you die.
Yep.
So I would hold, I think, at this moment.
Because you do make your hero power worse.
Right. You'd make it half as good.
Yeah.
So you want to wait until the last possible moment.
And then you get 1.5 times the bonus.
Yeah, he just took 3 points of fatigue, so next turn he's going to be taking 4, plus the hero power is only 7. So he has a little bit more time to wait on it. But I think he's just got lethal.
Yeah, the twig has been doing 1 a turn, like not just ticking up the mana. Yeah. And that's going to get it done. Hunterace 3-0 Swidz. I believe that puts him 6-2.
Yeah, I just had to hop up here because that last series, we got to highlight the fact that Hunterace is pretty much regarded as being the best player in the world right now, and now he is a 6-2 record in this tournament. One more win, and he will qualify for that top 16. And this level of unparalleled consistency in Hearthstone needs to be recognized 100%.
Yes, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if he wasn't here this season, we'd be saying Muzzy was easily the best player ever. And he's putting Muzzy in the shade this season to a large degree.
And you know what? I'm also here because we're celebrating a little bit more than just Hunterace's victory here, and of course our players who are succeeding very well in this tournament today. But why don't we bring up Dr. J as well? Somebody want to corral Jace right on up here? I just saw him, and oh, there he is. He's coming in. You see, here at the DreamHack set today, we are celebrating not 1, not 2, but 3 birthdays. It is both Dr. J, Lorenda, and our stream admin Max's birthday. So we just want to, of course, give you guys a happy birthday celebration on the stream. And it's been a little bit since the cake did get here, but happy birthday, guys. Thank you so much for the work that you do. We're so happy that you chose to spend your birthdays with us. And we hope that you all are enjoying everything that's been happening here so far on the tournament this weekend, and that you appreciate that these fine gentlemen are giving up their birthdays to be here for this tournament. And then there's Firebat. Hi, Firebat. You're doing a great job, too.
Thanks.
When's your birthday?
March.
Great. We'll get there eventually. Cool. Cool. All right.
Wow. I was so baited. You got me in there.
Jace was like, what were you and Martin talking about? Why couldn't I come in the room? And I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, why do you know Hunterace is
good
suddenly? Yeah, what's all this about? Thank you so much, guys.
It just took me this long to realize Hunterace was good at Hearthstone. But yeah, so that is going to do it for our little birthday celebration, and also for round number 8 here at DreamHack Montreal 2018. We are going to let these guys have a little bit of cake, let the players get set up. When we come back, round number 9, our final Swiss round will be underway, so don't go anywhere. One more round before we make our cut to top 16.